Food for Life is about understanding what's really behind the food that we eat. Farmers markets. Is the food really locally grown by the farmer? Is it any fresher? Is it any healthier? Is it free of chemicals? Farmers Markets Explained today on David Allender's Food for Life. I'm here with Mick Luber. Mick is the president of the Wheeling Farmers Market Association. He's also a certified organic farmer. So Mick is going to help us to understand what are the best ways to assure that when we go to the farmers market that we're actually getting locally grown produce, because I know that's really important to a lot of people today. They want it grown locally within a reasonable radius. So if you're going to start off going to a farmer's market, Mick, what would you recommend is the easiest thing to do to try to find out whether or not the farmer actually grew the food?
Ask the farmer.
Okay.
The farmer's the easy one to ask, and they'll usually tell you.
Sounds pretty simple. So if you're going to go from there, say you want to be a little bit more serious about it, what would you do next?
If there's a market manager, you would go to the market manager and find the rules for the market, or ask somebody at the market if there are rules for the market.
Okay.
And what the radius of the production of the food that's supposed to be at the market.
So
this market, the radius is 40 miles.
40 miles, okay. So there's actually a lot of farmers markets are going to have rules that specify how far things can be grown from the central location, from where the farmer's market is. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's supposed to be a copy of the rule. A market manager will have a copy of the rules.
For example, how do the rules for this market go? I know you mentioned 40-mile radius, but I think what are the other details of those rules?
You're supposed to produce what you sell. If you don't produce what you sell, you can buy it locally from other farmers in the area.
Within that 40-mile radius? Okay,
right.
All right.
But in this market, you're supposed to label where it's produced and who's producing that on your stand.
So as you're walking through this market, you're going to see maybe a label saying it was produced by another farmer, but within the 40-mile radius.
Right.
Now, you also do allow items to be brought in from outside of the region under certain circumstances. How does that go?
Last year and the year before, the peaches all froze because it was hit 20 degrees when they were getting ready to blossom. So everybody lost their peaches. So there's no peaches produced in the local area. So there's an exception for that kind of case.
Okay, so that allows the market to still offer diversity of vegetables and fruits. If you can't get it in the region, is what you're saying, like frost or drought, or just someone might happen to have not grown that particular item, then you can get it outside of the area.
Yeah, but it has to be something that can be produced in that area.
Okay.
You can't sell bananas or oranges or something like that.
That's a perfect transition, Mick. I think a lot of people need some advice on what is actually grown in a particular area where they live, because some things come in season at different times, and how can an individual know all that, which vegetables are due at which time? So you go to the farmer's market in May, and there's tomatoes, and certainly they weren't grown in the Northeast if it's May and there's tomatoes. How do you know what's in season at what times?
You can call your local extension agent. Most extension agents, most states have lists of what's produced, when it's being produced in the state.
Okay.
So if we're in Ohio County, you'd call the Ohio Extension, and West Virginia puts out a list of what's in season. And they also have a calendar that they put out every year of what is actually produced at various times, and it's an extension catalog, and it has that list in that catalog.
So just like this one that we have from Ohio, now is that Ohio County or the state of Ohio?
The one that I showed you is from Ohio.
So that's the Ohio, so we're looking at the Ohio list of what vegetables come in season at which times throughout the year.
Exactly.
Okay. So if you get something like this, maybe you can download it on the internet if you do a little bit of searching, or if you can't find it on the internet, call your agricultural extension agent. They're usually by county, is what you're saying.
Right.
And they'll either mail you one or tell you how you can get a list.
The state of Ohio actually has a website. The Department of Agriculture has a website.
Okay.
Pennsylvania has a website where you can go to and find that information.
Okay, so you can go to the farmer's market, and armed with asking your farmer to say, did you grow it locally? You can take one step further and talk to the Farmers Market Association manager who's probably there. Now you're here at the farmer's market, you're selling vegetables. If anyone wanted to know the rules, they can ask you, right?
Exactly.
And you'll explain the whole thing. And then the next level is you can go and get yourself a copy of what's in season and compare what's on the table to what's on that list to make sure that what you're getting is actually locally grown. Because we know that when something's locally grown, you're looking for something that's grown with the love, the life, and the passion for farming that comes from a local farmer like you.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Well, thanks a lot, Mick. I really appreciate that information. I think it's going to help a lot of us to better understand how we get locally grown vegetables from our local farmers market. A lot of people want to get fresh vegetables at the farmers market. So, Mick, how do you know if the vegetables are fresh, or why are they any fresher at a farmer's market versus a supermarket?
Well, the vegetables at this market are coming within 40 miles of this location. So they're going to be fresher because they're here today. They're usually picked in the last 2 days before they come here.
Okay.
In the grocery store, the food usually travels 1,500 miles before it gets to the grocery store. And it takes time in order to do that. So the peppers that you see right here were picked yesterday and they're at the market today.
So we're talking about food miles. You hear that a lot more often, is food miles being an issue. So what you're saying, the issue with food miles is they're in a truck for 3 or 4 days.
And it's the carbon footprint also,
They're consuming diesel in the process of that too. So it increases. Right. Okay. Now what about the types of vegetables that are important to buy fresh? Because I know some keep. Maybe you can give us some advice on which vegetables you really absolutely need to get fresh.
To keep the nutrition up, lettuce, beets, beans, any of the greens, the nutrition, if it's picked the day you're going to eat it, then you have 10 times the nutrition if it sits on the shelf for 5 or 6 days.
Okay, so greens are critical.
Critical.
So what are the vegetables that should be purchased, or what are the vegetables that don't have to be purchased quite as fresh as the greens?
Potatoes, onions, garlic, any root crops, or like winter squash, they have a long shelf life.
So you have some potatoes over here, right?
Right.
Let's take a look. So here you've got potatoes keep, is what you're saying.
Right. You can usually keep potatoes for 2 months before they start turning to starch.
So these are fresh.
Sugar content in them is really high right now.
So how do you know that this is a fresh potato?
Feel it.
Okay.
The firmness of the potato, it's not soggy.
It's very firm, very hard.
Right.
So what are the other types of vegetables that can keep a little bit longer?
We have all kinds of onions that will keep. Shallots will keep for almost a whole year. It's really a hard texture to it, and you can maintain these. I usually can keep these till next year and sell them at the first markets.
Excellent.
Garlic. Garlic lasts 4 to 6 months from the time it's picked.
Of course, you've got 10 different kinds of garlic here. You're not going to find that in a grocery store, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Different flavors, some of them are mild, some of them roast sweet, some of them have lots of bite to them.
Okay, so here you mentioned the beets here. These are another vegetable that needs to be purchased fresh.
Well, if you purchase them fresh, beets will last through the winter.
Okay.
And they'll maintain their sweetness. But if you purchase them fresh, the tops are still on them. And you can use the tops on beets just like chard.
Okay, so
and cooking as a fresh green. So if you're...
that's the trick with the beets.
Right.
So it's back to anything that is a green, you want to purchase, it needs to be eaten within 3 to 5 days of being picked
Right.
to get the best nutrition. But the beet itself will keep.
The beet
How about
itself will keep.
squash? I'm sorry.
Winter squashes are something that will keep up to a year,
Okay.
and they maintain their sweetness in the flesh. And
So this is a winter squash. This is an
yeah, it's
example of that.
called a carnival.
Now, you're not going to see these in May
No.
unless they're carried over from the last year.
Yes.
All right. So what would be, so these vegetables keep, so why not just buy those at the grocery store? Why get them at the farmer's market? What's the reason?
Carbon footprint,
Goes back to the,
supporting local economy. Both of those things are important.
how about variety too?
And variety.
You've got an enormous variety. Sure, they might be long-keeping vegetables, but there's an enormous variety here compared to the grocery store.
Yeah, I don't want to pan grocery stores. There are some
No, sure, they do
grocery
some good
stores,
work.
Yep, that do good work, and they buy stuff from local farmers sometimes in the local area.
More and more grocery stores are buying from local farmers. And let's face it, your market is what, from May through October?
Right,
So you got to get your food somewhere for the rest of the year.
exactly.
So, well, thanks a lot for that information.
Sure enough.
When you go to the farmer's market, should you expect the food to be less expensive than the grocery store? What should you expect in terms of price?
You should pay at least what you pay in the grocery store because you're getting it fresh. You're getting it picked either the day it comes to the market or the day before it comes to the market. And you should support your local economy and your
Right.
local farmers.
Well, and also you were saying that local farmers, the small farms, require a lot more labor to produce the food. There's a lot more hand labor, especially if they're organic certified.
Yeah, on organic farms, in order not to have weeds, we use hoes. So somebody has to operate the hoe.
Okay,
So it costs.
so you're not using the chemicals that are being used at the conventional farms, so there's a lot more labor involved with that.
Right.
And then also you say you're certified, so your costs, your certification costs are higher.
Yeah, my certification costs $650 a year. So I have to
That's-
cover that cost in the price of the vegetables.
And you earn your money from these farmers markets. This is where you sell your vegetables.
Exactly.
And you make a living doing this.
Yeah, if you don't support your local farmers markets, there aren't going to be
They're not
farmers
gonna be
in here. And then the only place you can get your vegetables is at a grocery store.
Okay, so you're a certified organic farmer, so that raises the price because you got the certification costs. What are the benefits to looking for a certified farmer at the farmer's market?
The benefits are to your health. You're getting
Okay.
better nutritious food without the harsh chemicals. Those two things should sell it to you.
Now they might not always look as pretty, like these apples have a variety of colors and stuff on them, but they're
Yeah,
still.
it's an heirloom apple, old variety. It's a standard tree. It takes 9 years for this tree to bear fruit. So most apples, orchards, they get fruit in 2 years.
Okay.
So you have to maintain this apple for tree for 9 years before you get the fruit.
So the varieties, the heirloom varieties, they don't yield as much, so the price is going to be a little bit higher. They take longer to come to fruition.
Yep.
The varieties, you have an enormous variety of vegetables here, so there's got to be an additional cost in maintaining all those varieties.
Right.
Now, you mentioned about soil.
Soil life is the big thing with organics, keeping your soil alive. There's
Okay.
all these beneficial bacteria in the soil and mycelium that if they're in the soil, then your soil's working for you, not against you. In conventional farming, they use chemicals, and most of the harsh chemicals like ammonium nitrate kill all the biota, all the life in the soil. So you have to feed everything with NP and K in the soil. Where we use compost on our soil and we support the bacteria that's in the soil. So that works with your plant.
And that makes the plants taste
Healthier.
better, healthier.
Right. I've done tests with people where I've gone to the grocery store and bought carrots and taken my carrots, and people taste the carrots, you can taste the difference in the product.
Right. So when they buy from you, they're getting the passion that the farmer brings. You farm with a lot of passion. This is your love. It's farming, growing vegetables, and sharing them with everyone. You are clearly
I'm also
passionate.
a cook.
You're also a cook. So
And I eat all these vegetables. And the thing that inspires me to bring different vegetables to the thing is I cook it and I eat it. So I know it's good.
and you also care intensely for the soil at your farm.
Yeah.
But it's got a really
What's different about this potato is that I know it was Mick Luber who planted it, who tended to the soil, enriching it organically and protecting the microscopic life that fed this potato plant. I know it was Mick Luber who pulled this potato from the ground at his farm in Cadiz, Ohio. When you cut into this potato and you smell the earth, there's a richness and an intensity that really tells you it was grown with passion. Well, you know, potatoes get a bad rap for being time-consuming to cook. On a busy weeknight, we think of peeling and boiling and baking and end up skipping the fresh potato and reaching for dried or boxed. We're going to make potato pancakes in less than 15 minutes with this organic potato and see how it compares to processed, packaged alternatives. Now, I understand potato pancakes are not a low-calorie food, but in reasonable proportions, they can be a very nutritious side dish for your family, and they cost only around 20 cents per serving. Okay, let's get started. To make the potato pancakes, we're going to cut up the potatoes, but not much, because they're going into the food processor. And also notice that I am not peeling them. Look at that yellow color. They're just beautiful. So here we go. Got them cut up. I'm going to cut up a second one. I think 2 potatoes should be plenty for the average size family. The skins are really good. There's nothing wrong with the skins. Just make sure they're washed, put them in. Adds the potatoes flavor. Now we're going to add an egg. Whole organic egg. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt. I'm using unrefined sea salt. And we're going to add about a 1/4 cup of organic flour. That kind of holds it all together. The potatoes have a lot of water in them, so you need to put a little bit of flour to pull it together. And then finally, to give it a little bit of onion flavor and also to give it a little color, we're going to put in some of these fresh chives. Notice they're not chopped. It's very easy. And all you do is pulse the processor. There we go. Now they're nice and finely ground up in the processor. Actually, I'm going to give them just one more. I just saw a chunk in there. Got to watch every once in a while you get a chunk. There. That's it. Now we're going to fry up these potato pancakes that we just made. I've got this frying pan here heating up, and it's got canola oil in it. It's around 350 degrees. And we're going to put them in so that they make nice rounds. And down. And you just want to fill up the pan, making sure they have a little space between each other, so not too crowded. There we go. We got 4 in, so not too bad. Okay. I'm just flipping these over. Sometimes it helps to have something extra in your hand. Not that this is the best method, but it does work. So we'll cook them on the other side. You see we have a nice brown, and it only took a couple minutes. We'll get the other side, and then we'll get them on the plate. The pancakes are finished, so I'm going to take them out, put them on the plate so that we can try them. There's one. Two. Look at the golden color. Those golden potatoes from Mick Luber's farm just add a beautiful color to the potato pancakes. So let me see if I can taste a piece of this. They look fantastic, so I want to just try a little bit and give you an idea of what they taste like. Hot. The sweetness of the yellow potatoes can't be beat. Just enough chives. They provide the color, they provide the flavor. The half teaspoon of salt was just the perfect amount. It's got the right balance. I just love them. Chef Gene Evans has some gourmet alternatives to my basic recipe. Gene, what are some options that you can tell us about here with potato pancakes? I just used yellow potatoes and basic chives. How can we make these really exciting?
Well, I think the nice thing about it is you can take that base recipe that you have there with the flour and the egg, and then use any variety of potatoes that you want. You could use the purple potatoes. You can use some of the pinks. I like to use sweet potatoes, and rather than pureeing them, I would rather either shred those by hand or use a food processor and shred those. Mix in, and then we can make small potato pancakes as an hors d'oeuvre.
So you're saying the alternatives are you can shred them or grind them.
Right.
You can use different types of potatoes, savory potatoes or sweet potatoes. And then also you can use them, maybe not just serve them by themselves, but use them as part of an hors d'oeuvre. How would that go?
Well, as far as we would do it is just make smaller pancakes, fry them on both sides, let them cool a little bit, put a real nice thin layer of smoked salmon, a little creme fraiche, some caviar, and some chives for garnish, and we could have a really nice hors d'oeuvre with something like that.
That just sounds amazing. Now, you mentioned creme fraiche. That's something that's hard to find, but it's actually pretty easy to make, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and actually one of the segments that you've done previous was to actually make your own buttermilk.
Yeah.
So you could take that buttermilk, add 1 tablespoon to some organic heavy cream, mix it up, put it on the shelf in a warm part of the kitchen, let it sit overnight, and then the next day you have your creme fraiche.
Same process, and you've got some really gourmet hors d'oeuvres out of this simple recipe that you saw only took a few minutes. Let's take a look at some of the packaged alternatives. Here's a box of potato pancake mix, and this is a dried mix, and it contains potatoes, it contains sulfites to maintain whiteness, potato starch, salt, onion, vegetable shortening, and it notes here that it is partially hydrogenated trans fat vegetable shortening. And this is around 51 cents per serving. Now, if you want to save the time of mixing anything, you can buy these prepackaged, nicely wrapped alternatives from the grocery store. Now, they still do have to be fried because they're only partially cooked. Now, they cost around 83 cents per serving, so they're significantly more expensive. Now, the ingredients are potato, onion, wheat flour, pasteurized eggs, soybean oil, partially hydrogenated soybean oil with TBHQ added as a preservative, and silicone added as an anti-foaming agent, and it does have salt and pepper. The potato pancakes we just made cost around 15 cents per serving. If you decide to go with conventional potatoes and conventional ingredients, you can cut the price down to less than 10 cents per serving. It's now up to you to decide which, if any of these options, is the right one for you and your family. But now you can make these choices with a lot more information. Possibly you will choose organic farm market potatoes, or for your situation, one of these packaged alternatives might be the best choice. It's entirely up to you. Hold on, we're not finished yet. There's a test. If you feel test anxiety coming on, breathe deeply. I promise you that you will pass. Well, actually, everyone passes. Just go to foodforlife.tv. Click on Contact. Type the answer to the Farmers Market Show question. Put it in the contact space and click Send. I'll reply with a PDF of the recipes from today, along with a number of alternative potato pancake recipes from the students here at the West Virginia Northern Community College Culinary School. I'm David Allender, and this is David Allender's Food for Life.